Ankh, I am responding to your paper 2 from a new location, this time upstairs at my cousin's house. Okay. Controversy is common in many fields. Even the fields that are associated with public health are no exception. My field of interest, dentistry, has its controversy. There is a controversy that is important to this field. That controversy being the extraction of wisdom teeth, or known in the dental field as the third molar. To gain a grasp on this controversy, we must first understand who has power in it. Okay, introductions are so difficult. So let me say this. Since you're doing like more scientific writing, you're going into a more scientific field, you could consider in your introduction just doing something like, sometimes they give it the heading of background, and then they'll cover some background on the issue. Or I'm trying to think of other ways that they label that. Often it's just background, or like the problem or something like that, and they just do a little explanation. Because I feel like what you're doing is a classic thing that English teachers always teach people to do, which is just kind of talk about, okay, controversies in general, now dentistry, now controversy in dentistry. That works so well in so many cases, but as you're getting into writing in your field, it's more reasonable for you to just jump right into what you're talking about without kind of going through that, because I feel like it doesn't add so much to your paper. Okay, anyway, I know intros are really hard. Those who have power in this controversy are the dentist, patients, and the insurance company, in which each party has the power of control over the controversy. In which each party? Confused there. Dentists are the ones who earn money from the treatment. The insurance company manages the cost of the treatment. Lastly, the patient pays for what's left after the insurance applies to the treatment. If anything had changed for third molar extraction, such as new evidence showing that extraction of the third molar is beneficial for everyone, then the dentist and the patient will benefit. This plausible change applies to the three values in this controversy. Okay. I'm feeling like you haven't quite settled into what you want to say yet. It feels like you're still a little bit like not settled in yet. So let's keep going and find out. This leads to the three values that conflict with each other. The three values being health, wealth, and accountability. As the value of health relates to the dentist and patient. As it does, then what? The value of wealth relates to the dentist and the insurance company. Lastly, is the value of accountability belongs to the patient. Lastly, is the value of accountability belongs to the patient and the insurance company. These values reflect each of the parties' interests. These interests of each party conflict with one another. Some of these interests also overlap with one another. The dentist's interest would be, quote, freedom to recommend and provide the best treatment. That seems well put, a good place to use a quote. While the interest of the patient is the best treatment, fast recovery from third molar extraction treatment cost is not expensive. Wait, what? While the interest of the patient is the best treatment. No, I'm confused there. Lastly, it is the insurance company where they have to lower the cost of treatment and, quote, keep purchasers and insured, maybe you mean insurers, satisfied. You're doing a lovely job of integrating the quotes. I'm still feeling like things are a little bit garbled, though, and I'm not totally sure. Like, I don't feel like I understand. I don't feel like you've expressed yourself all that clearly yet. Okay, let's keep going. The purchasers are the patient, and the insured is the dentist. What? The purchasers are the patient, right? The patient's purchasing the care. The insured is the dentist? I don't understand that. The insurance company wants to keep most of its wealth from covering the expense of third molar extraction. When it comes to the insurance company, there are legal issues to be found. Okay. The legal issues that would apply to this controversy would be what terms the insurance companies have. The insurance company, quote, are laying large sums of money for third molar, are laying large sums of money for third molar surgery. This means there are regulations made by insurance companies, I think you mean, when it pays for the cost of third molar extraction. These regulations included if the patient, I think you mean include, like it wasn't just in the past, right? These regulations include if the patient has symptoms or disease excuse me, that is caused by the third molar. However, a case where these regulations do not apply could be if the patient is asymptomatic. Yes. If there were new laws that were implemented for the regulation of dentistry, this would benefit the insurance company. It would? How would that change? I don't understand. As they would gain more power over the controversy. Well, it depends on how the law changes, right? The insurance company wants accountability from the dentist. That's definitely true. Okay, if there is a violation of these regulations, such as the dentist lying about the patient's oral health. That's a fragment. You gotta finish your thought. If there is, you can't have a period there. You gotta finish your thought. You do finish your thought, though. Here we go. Then the insurance company can take this action to the court. So all you need to do there is just take out the period, make that then, make the T and then lowercase, and you're good to go. This could result in the dentist either getting a fine to losing his or her dental license for malpractice. This threat from the dentist's perspective holds the dentist accountable. Okay. However, if these regulations were to be changed, then the patient and dentist would benefit from it. Well, it depends on what the change is again, right? I mean, yeah, it depends on what the change is. The insurance company would be the only party that does not benefit from the change in regulations set by it. Despite this, the patient and the insurance company share the value of accountability. I feel like all this values talk is like messing you up. A lot of people save this for the end of their paper, also, I will say. So when you're revising, that might be helpful. Okay, the expectation of the dentist from the perspective of the insurance company and the patient differ. The value they both hold can be considered the same to a certain degree, that both parties expect the dentist to do their job. However, if the dentist does not meet their expectations, it's a fragment. There's another place where you have to hook on that completion of the thought. However, the dentist does not meet their expectations, then there will be issues. Then, period. The difference between the accountability from the insurance company and the patient is the patient also expects them to let them know about their oral health. The difference between the accountability from the insurance company and the patient is accountable? I'm still confused. Okay, from the patient's perspective, the supposed expectation of their oral health is to be good. They're supposed to expect their oral health to be good. Their oral health contributes to their overall health. If something were wrong with the patient's oral health, it would be detrimental to their overall health. I mean, probably, but like, not necessarily, I guess, right? I mean, like, you can have, well, maybe it always is. Am I getting nitpicky? Okay. As such, the patient wants his or her dentist to be accountable. Okay. The patient wants his or her dentist to be accountable. That the dentist will have to tell and articulate the status of their oral health to get the best treatment, in this case being third molars. I don't know what you're saying, in which the patient is getting the treatment that he or she is paying for. As a result, there is an expectation that the dentist has to do a good job, as the patient expects the dentist to care about his or her health. From the perspective of the dentist must care about the oral health of the patient. The dentist has to educate their patient on what is happening with their third molars, in which the dentist has to translate all the dental jargon into words the patient can understand. By educating the patient on their third molars, they can make a more informed decision when it comes to third molar extraction, since the decision applies to the patient's health. Another place where that piece that starts with since needs to be hooked onto the previous sentence so that you have one complete sentence. In the long run, the patient will be healthier. For third molar extraction, the dentist has to be straightforward about the factors for this treatment. Okay, I'm going to kind of skim through here and so I can think a little bit about organization. There are multiple factors to be considered. They can cause infections. But then you say the first one is whether or not to extract them. So what was that not one of the factors? Asymptomatic, that's another that's another factor, and it's another thing to consider. Okay, you need to consider patient's decision, whether they're asymptomatic, when to extract, as the earlier the better. Okay, the earlier it's extracted, the faster the recovery is. However, it should be delayed, it never surfaces. Despite the many factors are considered for third molar extraction, are you going to be in this video, Avery? Many simplify the decisions making of either removal or retention. The answer of this to this extraction of third molar is not clear. The simplification can have serious consequences. Sometimes a patient never had to remove the third molar in the first place. They relate to the value of health, conflicts with the value of health as the dentist has to make ends meet. The insurance company values wealth. It's controversial because people have 3 different. Okay. So I think probably what you need to do at this point is 2 things. I can see that you've done like a lot of good research, and I feel like you really have learned a lot about this and can talk a lot about this, but it's not showing up clearly in the paper. So I'm seeing 2, well, okay, so of the 2 things that you need to do, I would say, first of all, I think you haven't, I would suggest making a new outline at this point, because I feel like what you wanted to say has gotten lost in the wording a lot in here. So making an outline again. And the other thing I will suggest is reading the paper out loud to yourself, or having someone, as I've been doing, read it out loud to you, so that you can really zero in on like if your wording is saying what you want it to say, if it's like getting through. There are even computer programs I know that you can use to have your computer like read it to you. Although it won't do that perfectly, that can be kind of a cool way to do it. Yeah, because again, what I see here is I feel like you have a lot of knowledge and understanding, but your wording is kind of tangled up, and also your organization is kind of tangled up. And one other thing I'll say, did I already forget my train of thought? I had another thing to say. Is if this were my paper, this is another thing that might be useful. Like, I would sit down and draw this out. If you're going to dentistry, you might have, like, this might be helpful for you too, because that's a pretty visual, there's a lot of visual thinking you have to do to be a dentist. So this might work for you. Like, listing out, okay, these are the values I'm going to talk about. Sometimes I do the, like, Venn diagram stuff, the overlapping circles. That might be something that would help you think these ideas through. And my final, I said I didn't have any more, but I have one more suggestion. You might consider talking about problems of, start with, here's controversies that come up when we're talking about wisdom teeth. Sorry, molars. Excuse me, talk about that first, and then go through, like, here's why these different values make this controversial. Any of those things might help, but yeah, you really need to do some work here because this could be so much better. So hopefully that's helpful, and you can let me know if you have more questions.